How many times have you felt overwhelmed by your emotions? How many times have you felt attacked by others' judgments? There's a way to master this emotional whirlwind. Before we start, let's stand in front of a mirror and look. Too often we are overwhelmed by feelings of oppression and the sensation that others are judging us. Look in the mirror because often what we see in others is the image we have of ourselves, and those around us simply reflect it back to us. If our emotions are not kept under control, they can become our worst enemies. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Managing the unknown, and especially taking control of our irrational side, is a difficult task. In the modern world, we navigate through a world that is not straightforward, and we have lost confidence in others. Don't you see that as time passes, people are losing the habit of forming social relationships? Today's youth have access to vast amounts of information, including a sea of pornography, yet they lack the courage to approach someone they're interested in. The fear of judgment and the fear of inadequacy have enormous power over our behavior. This virtual world, filled with images of rich, successful, and beautiful people on social media, only intensifies our feelings of inadequacy. I have slowly come to understand all this over the years. When I was a professional rider, the fear of judgment and the anxiety of not meeting others' expectations often prevented me from approaching the track with a clear mind. We live in a society that instills feelings of guilt from an early age, which later manifest as inadequacy. Let me tell you how I managed to break free from that cycle of pain. The first attitude we must have is the capacity to distinguish between what we can and cannot control, recognizing what is within our power to change and what is not. Some things are in our control and others not. Always. This seemingly simple exercise, if applied, can give us immediate serenity. Starting to focus our energy on what we can control, our actions, thoughts, and responses, gives us the chance to free ourselves from unnecessary anxieties due to uncontrollable external events. This mindset fuels positive energy and a calm approach to life's uncertainties. But not only that, we must also learn to be stoic, to ask ourselves constructive and reflective questions, especially in emotionally heavy situations. Having a simple but profound vision helps us put issues into perspective, separating trivial issues from those with long-term significance. As we reason about the future impact of our current concerns, we realize that many of today's anxieties will fade into insignificance. This applies to a state of mind, a test, an interview. Succeeding in giving the right value to the issue fosters a sense of humility and liberation, allowing us to focus on what really matters. What we are today is only the result of the scars we got along the way. Remember that impeding action advances action. What hinders becomes the path. Every obstacle is therefore not an obstacle, but a springboard that guides us towards a path of growth, self-improvement, and strength of mind. Especially at a young age, we think that we have to act and react, but over the years, we learn the importance of reflection before action. The world we live in sends us messages that if we don't run, if we stop to reflect, we're out of the game. It's not easy to slow down to consider even a simple action. The trick in evaluating the potential long-term consequences of an action is to help us understand whether we should take a moment to consider actions. This reflective practice allows us to critically interact with our emotions and thoughts, promoting self-awareness and empathy. Reflecting gives us a way to translate immediate impulses and understand the deeper reasons behind our reactions. Incorporating reflection into our daily lives improves our decision-making, strengthens relationships, and cultivates a sense of calm and reflection in a fast-paced world we find ourselves living in. As they say, slow down to move faster and more consciously. We have already talked about the practice of journaling in a previous video. A daily journal is a tool for self-examination, a mirror that reflects our innermost thoughts, feelings, and actions. By keeping a diary, we engage in a dialogue with ourselves, evaluating our reactions and decisions. It's an opportunity to celebrate our successes and learn from our mistakes. We have learned that since ancient Roman times, the practice of journaling has been widespread and can be a private space for personal growth and spiritual contemplation. Instinctiveness leads us to extreme reactions on an internal level. We need to learn, as an author to whom I am very attached, namely Rudyard Kipling, said, If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much. Embrace acceptance, accept the virtue of being satisfied, which does not mean having no ambitions. All of this will lead us into a state of balanced engagement with life, free from the influence of extreme emotions. It does not mean that we must practice indifference, but live life fully while maintaining an internal balance. In a world where we are constantly bombarded with stimuli, learning to navigate life without attachment to trivial things can be profoundly liberating and empowering. Another feeling that modern society is trying to erase is gratitude. Gratitude is a cornerstone of man and many cultures. We forget more and more often to be grateful for what we are given, living everything as if it were a right. Practicing gratitude for the present is one of life's simple joys. It's about recognizing the value of everything, from growth-enhancing challenges to fleeting moments of happiness. True happiness is enjoying the present without anxiously depending on the future, because, as I always say, we live as if we were going to live 1,000 years. But gratitude not only enriches our personal lives, but also strengthens our relationships. Accepting the present also implies accepting the change that life puts before us. Instead of fighting it, we must learn to be flexible and be able to adapt. This will allow us to direct our positive energy into life instead of always being dissatisfied. Finding freedom in acceptance, in learning to be content, which means enjoying the present. It will give us immense freedom to accept even what we cannot control. This lesson teaches us to distinguish between our sphere of influence and events outside our control. By accepting the latter, we free ourselves from unnecessary emotional turmoil. If you can follow these simple rules to master your emotions, I guarantee you will be able to navigate life with wisdom and serenity. They are all milestones or scars that I have given myself in my life, but by giving myself some rules and creating a solid structure for emotional resilience and personal growth, I have really started to enjoy the present, which is the greatest gift we can give ourselves. I invite you to try, even if just for a short time. Even if it's not easy at first, you will discover in a very short time how much better life can be. I'll wait for you in the comments. I invite you to share your thoughts. Faced with a society that does everything to make our lives impossible, as I usually say, the best revenge is to live well. Brother and sister, let's move forward and see you in the next video.